Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Hi there, how are you guys? We are moving on with the Manifesting of Ideal Love, Ideal Union series. And tonight I wanted to talk about 11 tips to help people to be more comfortable, more confident when they are around, their twin flames, their crushes, the people that they're interested in. And I know it's going to be kind of like a mix because those who deal with a twin flame, it can be a lot different from just somebody dealing with somebody that's like a crush. Usually a twin flame situation, you probably have had this intense energy and runner-chaser dynamics and things like that. So that can really add into parts of the dynamic that become uncomfortable. But when you're somebody that's dealing with like soulmates and people that you're interested in, it can come down to you being confident, like, are you shy or are you having a lack of confidence? So there's different elements to kind of tie into this, but regardless, these tips I feel can help no matter where you're at within all of the energies or connections that you're dealing with. Hi, Alcyon. Hi. So first off, no matter who you're dealing with, whether it's your twin flame, your soulmate, karmic, whatever label you've placed on it, and you're feeling uncomfortable or you're, not feeling your best self, you're not confident when you're around them, try to remember that they're human too, that they are just another person on the planet. And a lot of times when you deal with situations where there's that intense type of energy between the two of you, you're very connected or very attracted to somebody, a lot of times they're going to feel that way as well. I find that a lot of times people who are experiencing things like this, there's some sort of mutual attraction. I mean, unless you know that this person has absolutely no idea about you, you're not on their stop. You're not on their radar at all. That may be a different feeling for you, but you still want to remember that they're just human. We want to not be putting people like way up here and us way down here. And that's why I feel sometimes people, when we place that twin flame label on people, that can make it even more intense. Not saying that they're not, but I know all of the information that goes along with all of that makes people seem to forget that at the end of the day, they are still human, having a human experience, or we're all spiritual having a human experience. But at the end of the day, they perceive themselves as a human. They've got their own insecurities. They've got their own feelings and emotions. I'm sure there's stuff inside of them that they don't feel completely perfect about. And if they are attracted back to you and you're rippling off that type of feeling of nerves and insecurity, it's probably going to bring that out within in them as well, because they may not know why you feel the way you feel or why you're acting the way you act when you're feeling those types of things, because sometimes you can't look at them and you get like all weird and awkward. They're going to pick up on that, and if they don't know, then they might start to assume that there's something wrong, that you're not into them. And then number two is, actually with number one, you do want to figure out, is it low self-esteem or is it just that you're shy? Because those two things are different things. If you're dealing with low self-esteem, that's something you're going to want to work on in general, because you're going to have those types of issues everywhere you go, not just when you have a crush on somebody. It may be more intense if you have a crush on somebody. It probably be even more intense with a twin flame, because twin flames are set up to help us heal and acknowledge those types of things within us. So they may bring that out in you even more, that fact that you're not as confident as you should be. And there are different things you can do for that. I find mirror work is one of the best ways to kind of work with your confidence, and also pushing yourself out of your comfort zones so that you get used to doing things that you're not necessarily 100% confident in. But you want to figure out, is it just that I'm feeling kind of shy? And if it's shyness, I can overcome that. Or is it my self-esteem? If it's that, then I really need to look at that and figure out ways to work with it. Then number two is vulnerability. So one of the most attractive things people can do is be vulnerable, be open about what they're feeling. If you're somebody that is not comfortable and you're feeling awkward and you're feeling like, oh my God, hold on one second. Hi, yes, she's very adamant to be here. If you're feeling vulnerable, letting them know how you're feeling can be beneficial, because it may help them if they're feeling that way, if they're feeling like nervous around you. or to figure out why you're acting the way you're acting. Like if you're like, oh, they're gonna be like, what's wrong? What's like, is it me? Did I do something? Is it that you don't want to be here? If you're starting to act off, they may think that you're hiding something from them. They could think that like you've got a boyfriend or you've got a girlfriend or there's something that you don't want them to know. And so you're like, oh. So being vulnerable is gonna help them to know what's up. And if you tell them, the truth that you're just nervous around them, that something of their energy, that their presence kind of makes you feel a little nervous because you really like them, it's going to make them feel good about themselves. And as long as they're not an egomaniac, that's probably going to be a good thing. If they're not somebody that's going to take that and use it against you, then having that knowledge and that wisdom can help to eliminate some of the unknowns that your inauthenticity with them would make them start to feel or sense things, and then later come to conclusions that there's something wrong. Either they don't like me or they're lying to me or whatever. And that's not what you want when there's somebody that you like. When there's someone that you like, you want them to know that you like them. So that's something to be aware of. And a lot of times when you are like that, some people will find that endearing. They'll think it's cute that you're like overwhelmed by them. And like I said, it's going to make them feel good. And I know for women, a lot of the people that I have here, men, they don't get to be vulnerable as often as women do. They don't get to communicate their feelings as often. Like they're not walking around like, oh, I know I feel this and I feel that, because it's not as, widely or openly accepted within feminine energy or when you're a woman. And so a lot of times men are attracted to that when women are talking about their feelings, not to like the point where it's like, and it's all always me and insecurities and like, badgering people, but more so just being like in your emotion and being confident and being vulnerable and letting people, letting a man feel through you. Basically, when they hear you express yourself with emotion, it's different. Okay, like it's something that I feel like helps them to kind of live through you in a way that makes them feel safe, especially when you're vulnerable and you're authentic about it. They're going to be like, wow, they're going to feel like they can express their feelings with you and that they can be vulnerable with you. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. Instead of trying to pretend that it's not there, that big elephant in the room of awkwardness, try to work yourself that courage to let them know and be vulnerable, be expressive with your emotions, let them know how your body's feeling, tell them about your emotions, like how things feel to you, rather than approaching things from a logical standpoint. Because men, that's how they live their day-to-day experiences, is more in a place of logic. And if they're around you and you're trying to be something that you're not or pretend something isn't, they're going to go to that logical place anyways and come up with those excuses as to what's wrong. So be vulnerable and try to just let them know. And then number 3 is to have fun, to lighten up and to laugh, because sometimes that's the easiest way to break out of like the feeling, is to like laugh at yourself. And that's going to be another piece of being vulnerable, is having that ability to laugh at yourself and being like, I'm being ridiculous, or I'm working myself up to this place where it's just silly, And if you're a man, I know a lot of women, when they laugh with a man, it becomes more attractive. Like I've been more attracted to men due to like their confidence or their humor more so than their looks. I think it's more fun to laugh and be connected with somebody on that level than to just have like a physical connection with somebody. So getting into that energy of lightening up and just kind of telling jokes and just being able to laugh at yourself is going to help you to feel more comfortable and help somebody to feel more comfortable around you. And also, while you're lightening things up and all of that, you can also kind of, work in there some of the good things about you. Like there's got to be things that you've accomplished in your life or things that you are confident in. So try to bring that stuff up too. Don't be, don't brag, don't become like I'm amazing at this. But, when you're laughing at yourself, you can kind of like throw in, well, at least I can do this right, or at least I've been able to accomplish this, like if you're somebody that runs a amazing company, but you get around this person and you're like, try to look at it that way and bring that about, and really that's going to help you too to feel more confident and remember that you're not just some blubbering person that can't get your words together, that you are somebody that is confident and capable of a lot of other things, and that's going to help them to see those qualities inside of you too and want to get to know you better and get to learn those things about you. So number 4, again, is treating them normal. Don't put them up on that pedestal, because when you put somebody up on a pedestal, they're above you, they're amazing, you don't stand a chance with them, and again, that's why I'm saying, like, think about all the good things that you bring to the table. And obviously, if you're in these instances with this person, they're giving you a shot, like, they're there for a reason. They're not just hanging out with you just to hang out with you, or they're not talking to you because they think you're beneath them. Usually, like I said, there's a mutual thing. So treat them like they're normal. Don't be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. Try to stay away from like the apologizing. I know a lot of times we're like, I'm sorry. We apologize for just existing, or we apologize for the way we are. And when we do that, it again brings us down lower and lower and lower. So try to keep yourself out of that place. And again, just feel like you're on the same level with them. And if you have to do those little reminders or those little things that make you realize like you are on the same level, or that you have things that, equal you out in regards to this person, try to keep remembering those things within your own mind, that they're just another person just like you are. They wouldn't want to be around you and in your presence if there wasn't something about you that they were enjoying. Think about all the amazing things that you are capable of, and try to shift that energy of they're up here and I'm down here. And then that brings me into number 5. Like, when you're treating this person as a normal person, you also want to become friends with people. Like, a lot of times, especially those who deal with twin flame dynamics, it's like you want to go from 0 to 100 with this person. You want to just be like, boom, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, we're in union, we're together forever, I love them so much. Like, and that's a lot of times connected to things where people find out, oh, it's my twin flame and it's my like other part of me and I need them to complete me. That's not true. You're already whole and one on your own. You don't need anybody else to complete you. I know that there's the concept of the souls being split and then coming back together. You are a whole soul and they are a whole soul, but your souls vibrate on a similar frequency, and inevitably, we're all from oneness. So try to take that out of there too. Don't be like, I need this other person to complete me or enable to, become back to oneness. But basically, start off slow with them. Try to be a friend. And also, it goes along with treating them normal. Like, how would you be around a friend instead of looking them as like a romantic type of thing, or putting all those expectations on it, or putting all these expectations on yourself, because that's ultimately what you're doing, is being like, oh my God, they're not going to like me because of this, and what about that, and my body, and my this, and my that. Just try to start off as friends and see how it goes. Treat them the way that you would treat anybody, and think of that as like the starting point for this. And take it slow so that you don't do the things that a lot of people end up doing, whether it's a crush or soulmate or twin flame, and try to push it too far too fast, which a lot of times sets people into the runner chaser dynamics, where it's like you're going full force and they start running from it, because not only are you going full force, but you're awkward as hell and they can't understand what you're doing. They're like, what? Like, you may, try to get their attention, blah, 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 and then once you've got it, it's like you crumble and you don't know what to do with yourself. So those are very mixed signals, and a lot of times people are just going to be like, okay, and run from that. So just take it slow with them, take the pressure off yourself. Act normal is number 6, and be yourself, be authentic. I think a lot of times if we have a crush, or we have a twin flame, or somebody that we're very interested in romantically, we end up trying to make ourselves something different, like listening to these videos. Like, I'm giving you tips, but I'm not saying to implement every single one if it doesn't feel right. What's authentic to you? What is you? Who are you? You don't want to change yourself in order to attract somebody into your life on a romantic level, because I've said this before, it's not going to last. You can't maintain a facade. If there's things about you that you like, and that's the thing with twin flames too, they're supposed to help you to become the best version of yourself. So If there's things that you're doing that you know need to change, that's one thing. You know, usually it's like healing of our inner child stuff, our past lives, our inner beliefs, like the things that just are not so great in general that you would want to change regardless of their existence or not. But sometimes their existence is like the catalyst for you to be like, okay, I'm going to work on that, because they give you kind of like a motivation now. It's like, it's not just about you. It's like, oh, well, I want them, and I know I can't have them if I'm still holding on to all this shit. So they kind of work as a catalyst, but you also want to be yourself and be authentic in yourself, who you are in that moment. If you're not completely healed, if you're not, you know, completely confident and feeling 100%, don't try to pretend to be. You know, like I said, be vulnerable with this person. Be who you truly are. Don't put a false version of yourself out into the eyes of them, because they're going to sense that anyways, especially if it's a significant connection. They're not going to feel the real you coming. Like, they're going to know there's something not there, because they have that connection. They may not know it consciously, but energetically they're going to sense something's off. And again, that can be swooped off into whole other things, where they start having their own insecurities come up and they start trying to figure it out themselves. And that's the worst thing to have somebody do, because they're going to go to their false beliefs and their illusions and their, you know, insecurities. And that's not what you would want somebody to do, when you could, you know, eliminate all that by just being yourself, being authentic, and acting like a natural version of self. That's why it would be easier to just start off as friends, or, you know, to treat them like you're on that same level, not to place them up here, but to keep them on the same thing with you. Especially those who are like, oh, that's my twin flame. Well, then if that's the case, then you should know that you guys are right here together. Like, there's nothing about them that's beyond you. And number 8 is being confident in, like, number 7 is accepting yourself. So, like, if you're not, like what I was saying with number 6, if, like, you can't act natural and be yourself, if you feel like that's not good enough, you need to start accepting yourself in the moment, because you're not going to change overnight. Nothing that you're putting out into the world right now is going to instantly change. You want to accept who you are. And if you can't accept who you are, again, it goes back into that catalyst of energy of, like, okay, I've got to work on, like, my insecurities, or I got to work on this issue, whatever it is, because it's going to be different for everybody. And also remember that if you're dealing with a twin flame, or even anybody, because every relationship that we deal with, it's usually a mirror of some sort. Like, they come and they show you something. A lot of times we attract people to us with similarities. So if there is an insecurity, if there's something off, they're probably going to have those things too. So try to be just accepting of where you're at, be accepting of who you are, and that's going to make it easier for other people to accept you as well. And also make them feel that you are going to accept them. You know, if you're accepting of who you are, you're confident, and you know that you've got these flaws, and you know that you've got these issues, and you can be vulnerable in those things, they're going to feel comfortable to be vulnerable around you. They're going to be comfortable to know that you can love yourself as you are, with everything or whatever is going on that you're expressing to them. They're going to feel like they can do the same with you, that you're not going to look at them and judge them. You're not going to, you know, put them way down here, because they, again, a lot of times people will be mirroring stuff. They could have you on a pedestal, and it's going to help to get rid of the awkwardness that they're feeling when you say whatever it is that you are at that time. You know, so just accept yourself. And then if you can't accept stuff, work on the confidence that goes along with that, or figure out ways to break out of the box of where you're at. And like I said, do mirror work, do stuff that's going to make you feel good about you. I know it's, like, easier said than done sometimes, like, but when we find, like, the one thing about us that we really love, start there, and then start to, like, dissect it even further and to go deeper into it. And how can you expect somebody to accept you fully if you're not accepting yourself fully? And number 8 kind of goes along with that, with the confidence. Okay, so confidence in how you look is going to also help you to be more confident in who you are too. Unfortunately, that's kind of how our society is now. It kind of comes down to the 3D stuff as well. Like, if you're not feeling 100% confident in the way you look, and what clothes you're wearing, the vibe that you're giving off, you're going to want to change that. So start being aware of those things. Wear clothes that you're comfortable in. And for everybody, that's different. I know a lot of times, like, people have their own perception of what that means to be confident and like what to wear that's going to be confident, it's dependent upon you, which ties back into being yourself. So if you are somebody that's comfortable in something that's loose and, you know, isn't constricting, that you're not going to have to be like constantly fixing and twitching and, you know, like fixing yourself just to feel comfortable in, then, you know, go ahead and wear whatever that is that goes along with that. Especially people who have like body image issues. Like if you feel like you're too big or too small, wearing something a little bit loose and open or whatever is going to make you not be so super focused on, oh my God, you can see my roll, or oh my God, I'm too skinny, whatever. Just wear something that you feel highlights the best things about you, and, you know, you're clean, you're putting your best foot forward. Try to, like, you know, this would be like obvious, but the best, you know, way of showing up and, you know, using different perfume, having deodorant, basically just taking care of yourself and showing up the way that you would want to show up. Like if you were presenting yourself, say you were going to be in front of a group of people, what would you wear? You know, how would you do your hair? How would you shower? I've noticed, like, and this is another way of like manifesting too, is whenever I was going to go see a particular person, I would shower and get ready in a totally different way than like if I was just going to go hang out with people. Being in that energy does give you more confidence around them. But sometimes doing that also puts us into that mindset of, oh my God, I'm going to see them. And so it depends on how confident you are. If you go through all that and that's not how you normally are, then you may want to think about that. Like, don't go over the top, because then every time you go see them, you're going to be like, I gotta go through all of this in order to feel confident around them. Try to be more comfortable than like sexy, you know. Don't try to go over the top, because like I said, it's not going to be something you can maintain. Like if you're putting 10 pounds of makeup on and doing all this stuff to your hair and wearing these things that you don't ever want to wear, then that's not what you want to do. You want to do something that highlights who you are in the comfortable way that you want to be in life, so that they see who you truly are. And if they don't accept it and they don't like it, then at least you know off the bat, and you're not wasting all this time and this energy trying to be something that you're not, which again ties into being natural, being yourself, accepting yourself, and not trying to be something you're not. That usually helps a lot within just any connection and any way of being. And, you know, obviously like basic hygiene and stuff like that, that's going to make you feel more confident around people, is when you're feeling good. Like if I don't take a shower and then I take a shower, it's like I feel like two different people. So make sure you're doing those types of things that make you feel clean and comfortable and confident, but you're not going too far with it to the point where it's like unable to be maintained. And then once you do get around that person, number 9 is like asking questions that can keep the conversation going and can help you to get to know them better, because I know a lot of times people get awkward when they're around people. They don't even know what to say, so they kind of just don't say anything at all. If you do like open-ended questions and ask them about themselves, that's going to help take the pressure off of you, and it's going to help to kind of like get the conversation going. So think of things that you want to ask before you show up to be in the area around them, especially those of you who work with this person, or those of you who like see them, you know, at random places, like if you're at the gym or wherever you go that you run into this person, whether it's twin flame or not. Think of stuff that you know that you would want to talk about with them, or that you'd feel comfortable talking about with them, and doesn't have a whole bunch of weight connected to it either. Just like their hobbies, you know, like what are the things that you like to do most? And if they're like, oh no, then, you know, maybe ask them about their favorite food, or ask like what's the craziest thing they've ever eaten, or ask them about like the type of animals that they like, you know, different stuff like that, music. You know, all of those things, just basically open-ended so that it continues to go, and then like you can put your input in. You have like the two-way thing going back and forth. And then answer, which is number 10, answer these questions honestly, which goes back into the authenticity and vulnerability. So if you're talking to them and they say something that you hate, don't lie and pretend like, oh yeah, I like that too. Because a lot of people do that. When they like somebody, it's like all of a sudden everything that they believe or everything that they like goes out the window. All of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, me too. People are going to feel that. They're going to know you're not being authentic. They may not know that you're lying about what you're saying, but they're going to sense that energy about you, that there's something off. It doesn't matter who you are, who you're talking to. They don't have to be a psychic to feel like you're not really giving off the truth. So you've got to keep that in mind and just be honest, and that's going to build trust, which is one of the most important things within any relationship, whether you're a friend, romantic, or not. It's got to have trust in it. And if they can't trust you to answer a simple question about your favorite food, then they're not going to be able to trust you to answer anything else. So keep those things in mind when you're talking to these people. Don't try to pretend to be somebody you're not, and don't try to mirror them too, because I know a lot of times people will be in a twin flame dynamic and think like, oh, they're supposed to be my mirror. They want it to be their twin flame so bad, so they're going to make things up to make them their mirror. And it's not what it is. A mirror is the fact that they're showing up and they're going to show things to you that you need to work on. And if that's where you're going, that's something you need to work on, is the fact that you can't just be who you are without trying to, manipulate things in that way. It's going to be different for everybody, but that's just kind of like one of those things that I feel people might do when they're around the twin flame or the crush or whoever it is that they're nervous around. And then after you talk about all this stuff, number 11 would be like, have some ideas or opportunities, suggest activities that the two of you both are going to enjoy doing, rather than focusing on those things that may be different about you. Like, they like this and I like that. Oh my God. Don't worry about it. Like, people are different. No, like, that would be so boring. I often say, like, I liked having the last relationship on the level where it was like they weren't really into what I do, because it made it easier for me to, like, have like the normal world and like the spirit world, and it was cool to see like my stuff awaken that person, and like the shifts that took place over it. But it was also nice to have my own thing. You don't want to be the exact same with somebody all the time, where it's like we wake up and we shower and we do this, and it's like all the time, everything that you do. You want to have different stuff, so try not to worry if there is things about you that you don't like to do together. But if there is stuff that you guys share in common, then focus on those things when you're going to spend time with this person. Whether it's like, we both like funny movies, or we both like pizza, or we both like this. Go do those types of activities and focus on that stuff, because that, again, is going to make you more comfortable doing the things that you're liking to do, instead of pretending to love seafood and go choke to death on something you're allergic to because they love it. Like, just be yourself. And I know, like, there's another element of this for those who are twin flames, where the runner-chaser dynamic, like, if you are the chaser, which I don't even like putting these labels on it. Again, I feel like if you want to be confident around a twin flame, try not to label yourself a runner or chaser. Try not to label them twin flame, because you're placing a lot of expectation on it. You're placing them up here. Try to get rid of that stuff. But for those who are in it, that have been chasing somebody, and all of a sudden the runner stops running and they come towards you, there is this thing that happens a lot where all of a sudden they stop running and they're like, oh, okay, here I am, and then you either freeze or try to run from it. And I've been actually seeing that happen. It was funny because I just was talking about doing this video, planned on doing it tonight, and then in my support group I saw a couple of people mentioning like they're going to be seeing their twin and they're really nervous about it, and like, so all of a sudden that one thing that they wanted so bad is there and it's available to them, and they're like, oh my God. And then there's somebody else that's been seeing their twin for a while, like, not, they don't see each other every day, but like they see each other on a regular basis, and recently she's started to get to the point where like, for no apparent reason, was like, I don't want to see them, but they kind of knew, like, they're catching themselves, and that's part of the journey too, is catching this stuff. So if you've dealt with somebody that you have that intense connection with, there's something special there, they ran from you, but then they stop, sometimes what happens is the things that they were running, like, from, you start trying to run from. So it's going to be dependent upon in your connection. Like, if they were running due to the fear of love, you may start doing that as well, where it's like, oh my God, now I can have what I've wanted, I'm afraid of it. Or if there was like labels connected to it, like you're from different backgrounds or race or religion or whatever, those fears that they were having in regards to it may start to trigger you in regards to it, like, oh shit, here they are, but I know their parents hate me, let me run, and then like just commitment, Like if they have a intimacy type of issue or commitment type of issue, you may start feeling those ways when it starts deepening. Like maybe not at first, but once they start showing up on a regular basis and they don't go back into runner mode, you can start having those little triggers in yourself. And sometimes when that happens, I feel like you may actually be picking up on their fears. And instead of them running, it's like the two of you are processing it together. So again, being authentic and vulnerable and open with these people is always good as well. Instead of just pretending like it doesn't exist, acknowledge it, and build that honesty with them. And then again, it can come down to inner child, it can be past life. Like there's so many things that can be triggered through those connections, because ultimately it is to help you to heal. It's not about two people making each other whole in one. It's about you becoming whole in one, them becoming whole in one, and that requires work. And I'm not saying you can't do these things together. You definitely can. It does happen. But you want to be aware of what you've got to work on, and go within yourself and figure that out. Instead of running from it or getting all awkward about it, remember all of the things that you know in connection to this, and don't start running away from the thing that you want, because it just isn't a good thing. It's like, do you really want to put them through what you just went through? Try to just take the pressure off of yourself. But there is like this magnetic thing that happens too here, I find, where it's like when they run, it makes you want to chase. But when they don't, it's like all of a sudden that energy starts to shift, and it's like then it's like I can't explain it exactly, but it's just like two magnets turn the opposite way. It's like, oh God, no. And it's because it's a trigger for you to heal. And sometimes we're not ready to face things, and sometimes it's just not the right time. It can come down to being as simple as it's not the right time for full-on union. Doesn't mean it's not the right time for you guys to connect. If they're showing up and you do want to connect with them, connect with them. But if they're showing up and there's like all of this stuff inside of you that's making you run from them, then you have to, again, be vulnerable, authentic, truthful to yourself, and don't just like do like the ghost thing, but let them know what you're feeling and what you're going through. And that in itself may be the one thing that was needed to get it so that you don't want to run anymore, and that the two of you can get rid of that resistance and make it be the right time. But if you're not being truthful, then it's going to be very difficult. And I know too that it can come down to just being like overwhelmed or embarrassed. Like if you were chasing after somebody and it was like they're never going to show up, and so you like poured all your cards out there, you may have like poured all your emotions out to them, you may have done things that like looking back on, when they start to show up, can make you be like, oh my God. But obviously, if they're showing back up, there's a reason. So try to let go of it, because obviously they're not holding on to it. If they're showing up, they've forgiven you, or they aren't really thinking about all the weird shit you did. But I know that can be part of it. And some of it can just be almost also connected to how people are in general. It's like, once you finally get what you want, sometimes you're like, oh, do I even really want that anymore? So really ask yourself those questions. What is it? Is it a twin flame dynamic where it's like there's these things that need to heal? Or was it just me wanting something that I couldn't have, but now that it's available to me, I'm like, nah, I don't really need it anymore. Be honest with yourself and be honest with the people, because that's what's going to help you to feel confident, comfortable, and get out there into the world and manifest healthy connections with people. And I feel like this information is good for you no matter what. If it's a crush, if you're, getting ready to go out and date and you've forgotten how awkward it can be while you're getting, connected to people, especially if you're very physically, emotionally attracted to somebody, these types of things happen. It can be more intense, or it can be not so intense, but you get to be the creator of that based off of your beliefs and what you're thinking and what you're putting out into the world around you. If you've got somebody up here, it's going to be a lot harder. You recognize that you're both on that same level, you're both humans, or you're both spiritual beings having a human experience, you're going to realize that like they're just like you, and there's nothing that has to be difficult about it unless you want to make it that way. And if it does come down to things inside of yourself that need work, be authentic and open with yourself, do the work so that you can shift whatever that is without pretending to be something you're not. And like there are things out there about physical stuff, like how to be more confident physically. I think that again ties back into, is this stuff that you want to maintain? You know, like they're like peacocking. Like if you've got a lot of hair, you may want to like put it all up and beautiful, and do like the smoky eye, and you know, do all this stuff that's gonna make you feel sexy. But I think ultimately, wouldn't you want someone to just want you rather than all the shit that you're gonna do? Like that's what I mean with trying to just be accepting of you. Don't get caught up into, I gotta wear this color because it enhances this, or I gotta put on that because it makes this. I mean, yes, do those things to make yourself feel confident if that's you, but if that's not who you are, if you're not somebody that wants to do that, or you've never done that, then don't try to start doing it now. Just again, do what makes you feel comfortable and will show you that they accept you for who you are without pretending to be somebody you're not, so that you don't run into that problem later down the road where all of a sudden, you know, there's one day where you're like, I don't want to, I'm not going to do smoky eye today. I'm not going to wear my hair big, and I'm not going to, you know, put on all this shit. And then they're like, who are you? You know? And that's the type of culture we live in now anyways, where it's like we're constantly, you know, shifting and poking and prodding things. I think that feeds more so into insecurity than anything. So I don't think it's the best advice to give people that may already have body issues or issues about themselves, telling them to change it or to pretend like it, you know, isn't there by hiding it. Just be comfortable and show up as the real you. And if they accept you as that, awesome. If they don't, you'll find someone who does. All right. So that was my little tips for today. I think next time I'm going to talk about like the feminine energy. I know a lot of people ask, like, what does it mean to lean back into feminine energy? How do I embody my feminine energy? So I'm going to do that for the next Manifesting Ideal Union series. And if you're somebody that's missed the others, you can watch the playlist. But thank you very much. In Mune. Namaste.